I didn't get a chance after the game to thank the students and the fans and game day operations, everybody that was involved with putting that environment together. It was a special one, and as I said, rivalry games are ones you remember, and so I want to make sure I thank all those people that gave their time and effort to make sure that game was a special one. I think back to just recapping that game, for the defense, when their best was needed, they got it done. And as you look, they played their best in the fourth quarter, and that's when we needed them to be their best versus a challenging offense. And so it was really good to see. Offensively, ran the ball really well, was pretty efficient in the pass game. Again, the challenge is always going to be how do we become more consistent. How do we win every play? Like that's the mindset that we have. And then special teams, again, game impacting plays as you look at the kickoff return touchdown by JD. But, we obviously got to continue to fix our in-game kicking issues, and again, things that probably don't show up as much in practice, but we got to make sure the things we're doing in practice take the field on game days, and we can't miss some of those kicks, extra points, field goals, or kicking the ball off out of bounds. We got to get those things fixed with urgency. And as I told the group, in all three phases, we have to continue to eliminate plays that beat Notre Dame. Like there's always going to be things that the opponent does to challenge us, but we got to make sure the plays that we beat Notre Dame, we have to continue to eliminate. Playing hard is never an issue. It's non-negotiable, but you always talk about win the interval. It's how hard you play, but then you got to be disciplined in your execution. You can't have one without the other, and we got to continue to work on those things. But as we went to the bye week, again, the challenge was to how do we elevate during a bye week? And I remind them it's not an off week, right? I get a lot of people reach out and say, enjoy your off week. It's not. We just didn't have a game. We had to elevate during the bye week, and I was pleased with the way we prepared. We worked on consistency in our fundamentals that will then, again, determine more consistent play in our execution. And that's the thing we really, really focused on. Looking at different ways, also looked at different ways to improve schematically, utilizing personnel in different situations within a football game. We tried to attack those things. Some guys needed to recover that were beat up, but also find ways. Recovery is a way to get better, but also mentally challenge yourself. Maybe if you couldn't do all the physical reps. And we have some younger guys that needed to continue to develop that we had 2 really, really good days of practice. And then the defense took a little bit of time to do some Navy prep. As we know, we have them coming up here in a couple weeks. And so as we turn the page to Boston College, again, as you watch the film, it's a record that doesn't truly reflect the team. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. There's been some close games, amongst some other things. But as you look, number 3, the quarterback, they made a change to him the past 2 games, and he's really given their offense a spark. He's doing some really good things for their offense. And, it's a chance it's a Bill O'Brien coach team, which, again, I don't know personally, but, as I think back to him as a head coach at Penn State, the Texans, and now as Boston College, they play hard. They're fundamentally sound. They're going to be ready for a challenge on Saturday. So we got to continue to prepare this week and get ready for this opportunity we have on Saturday. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Starting on the left, Pete Byrne.
Marcus, 2/3 of the way through the season, I'm curious if you have a sense of what you really think the team's identity is at this point. I know you've talked a lot in years past about wanting to be dominant up front on both sides. Do you feel like you're there? And, again, where's your identity right now, do you think?
I think it's again, what I'll say to start the season is its ability to run the ball on offense, create some explosives in the pass game because of your ability to run the ball on the offense. And defensively, we got to continuously stop the run. Got to stop the run and try to make a team beat you defensively, passing the ball. But you're seeing improvements in our pass defense through experience, through clarity, through many different things. And so, but we're always going to be a O-line, D-line driven program. And what does that mean is that we have to be able to run the ball, stop the run, and that's what I want our identity to be, and that's what we're showing, but we got to continue to improve there.
In terms of some of the place kicking struggles, do you think it's more injury related or other issues? And can you explain some of the things maybe you worked on last week to try and shore that up?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think one, it started with injuries, but then injuries make you compensate maybe technique. And both of the field goal, the extra point in the field goal that we missed, were both they were technique issues that, again, were a result of injury. I mean, I think Noah's feeling much better as we go into this week, but he's got to continuously use his technique and trust his technique and not let the previous injury really dictate the technique he uses. And so that's the thing, we got to continue to trust our technique, but we also got to make sure that if we're going to put you out there, you got to be healthy and you got to be confident in utilizing that technique.
Up the middle, Tim O'Malley.
Coach, with your bye-week self-scout offensively, did you find you and Coach Denbrock find common denominators with recent red zone struggles or red zone struggles? I guess recent red zone struggles, because they weren't there in the first few games, that you could address, or is it being better at what you were working on, actually?
A little bit of both, right? Is that understanding where you can always try to put our offense in a better situation. I've said this previously, you're seeing things to stop our offense in the red zone that maybe they hadn't shown on film, and we can't use that as excuse. We have to understand that, and so we have to schematically put our offense in a position to execute at a higher level, but then we have to execute, right? We have to ID the right guys. We have to, it's not the physicality, it's not the effort being given, it's sometimes a misidentification of what's being called, and so it's both. It's the calls we have to continue with, the package that we have to continue to enhance, but also the execution of what we're calling.
At the end of camp, you identified defensive tackle as a position you thought improved the most from beginning to end of camp, and that might even be true from beginning of September until the bye week. Where did you see their growth, and do you agree with that they've improved greatly from the beginning of the season till now?
Yeah, they definitely have. They've always been pretty good at stopping a run. I'm talking as a collective group. What you're seeing is a more cohesive unit in terms of the pass rush, in terms of making sure that we play off of each other, right, and not have open vertical lanes where the quarterback can escape vertically and extend the play in the pass game. And so that's where I've seen a lot of improvement. They're doing a great job of stopping the run, but there's a lot of improvement in terms of our pass rush lanes and really keeping the quarterback in the pocket to letting other guys probably have success from that.
Front row on the left, Tyler Horka.
Marcus, the interior of the defensive line played pretty well against USC, even without Gabriel Rubio. So two-parter, how confident are you that that can continue with those guys? And then what is Gabriel's status moving forward?
Yeah, again, Gabe will be out this week. At some point we plan on getting him back before the season is over. I don't have a great timeline from when that's going to be, but who we believe it will be before the season's over. And, I do believe they'll continue to enhance. Like, that's got to be everybody in our program. That's got to be the D tackles. That's got to be the head coach. It's a mindset we got to continue to get better. And one is to have that mindset. That's the first thing. But two, then you have to have the ability to find the answers to help you get better. All right, you got to want to get better and believe you can get better, but then there's answers out there to help you get better.
Then another injury-related one with Billy Schroth not being available. Sullivan Absher's been kind of waiting for a moment like this to make a start. How confident are you guys that he's going to go out there and do what you want him to do?
Very confident, and the reason I'm confident is because of the work he's put in while he waits, right? He's waited his opportunity, but you always hear me say you can't wait. You got to work while you wait, and he's done that, and we had a lot of confidence in him being in the starting lineup and getting his job done.
Third row on the right, Tim Priester.
Coach, whenever there's a bye week, everybody says, hey, it's good for you guys because physically it gives you a break. But from a mental standpoint, especially as it relates to C.J. Carr. Everything's been so fast and furious, starting great success early on, maybe a little bit of struggle more in the last 2 games. What was your message to him this week?
You know, let's evaluate the last performance like we do every week and see where we can improve, why we made the decisions we made, and what, if presented with that opportunity again, what decisions would we make moving forward? And then going out to work, going back to practice and working on those things. So identifying the answers, like we just talked about, and then putting them into work. And then making sure when it presents itself in the game that we make the right decision. But, man, he has done a wonderful job in these first, I think, 7 games. I think he's first-time quarterback in terms of leading this offense, in terms of what he has on his plate. He's done a tremendous job, and there's more. That's the exciting part. There's more to his game that I'm looking forward to seeing how he continues to elevate in these next couple games.
Defensively, you guys have played so well the last 4.5 games, but one area where you've lagged behind a little bit is putting offenses behind the chains. Can you do anything on the back end without compromising the progress that you've made defensively against the pass?
Yeah, you know, getting them behind the chains, you know, it starts with first down efficiency. Starts with not having penalties. It starts with finding ways to create negative yardage plays, which sometimes can be feast or famine. Sometimes a lot of negative yardage plays are created not just by a call, but by somebody making a play, you know, but you also don't want to put your defense in harm's way to go out of your way to make a play instead of doing your job. And so we've got to continue to be efficient, all right, and efficient on first down, efficient in the early downs, and that will put an offense behind the chains and give us a better chance to be successful on third down.
Front row on the left, Jack Sobel.
Coach, regarding Christian Gray, you mentioned after the last game he needed to clean up his technique a little bit against USC. Like, where do you feel like his lapses in technique are coming from, and what would it take for him to become the consistent cover corner that you know he can be?
Yeah, I think it starts with health for him. Like he's a guy that's been pretty injured and banged up, but think about Christian, man. He's such a tough individual that he never wants to come out of the game or never wants to tell somebody how he's truly feeling. And we know he's banged up, right, without him even saying it. Like we're proactive of you know, really evaluating him and his body and what areas need to truly recover. So that's where a lot of his issues came from was injuries, right? Like that caused him to play with poor technique in certain situations. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is continue to trust the technique, continue to do it consistently. But he'll never be a guy to make an excuse, but we have to make sure to keep getting him healthy so he can play at a high level.
Gotcha. And then up front against USC, the holes you guys are creating are bigger, more consistent than they were in the previous game. Where do you feel like the offensive line's improvement came from?
You know, the size of holes can be determined by what a defense does, right? And, you know, somebody misfits something, then all of a sudden that hole can be a little bit bigger. So I think credit to our offense being able to recognize what the defensive looks are and to be in a position to get guys blocked. But there's not something intentionally we did to create bigger holes, right? It's getting your job done no matter what look you see defensively and then doing it. And that's the result of getting your job done, is that bigger holes might have been created.
Front row on the right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, back in August, you mentioned what a great month Jason Anye had been having, and on Saturday, that version of him kind of showed up. And I'm wondering if you could kind of take us through his journey this season on what it's taken to get all the way back from all the time he missed and what he went through.
Yeah, it's a progression. And had a really, really good fall camp and has done some good things for us defensively, maybe not in the stat book in terms of production, but has really done a good job of getting his job done. And now you're starting to see some stats follow that. all right? And again, the stats are a reflection at times of just doing your job, but he has been a guy that has just gotten better. You know, again, as you think about where it started even last year to where he is now, I'm proud of him. It's a credit to the work he's put in, the maturity of him as an individual, and you know, relationship with him and Coach Wash continuing to grow and continue to challenge him. But you know, he's an ascending player. He is, and probably similar to what I said about CJ. There's a lot more room for him to continue to improve. But credit to him for the work he's put into it.
And then Kenny Minchie, we haven't seen a ton of him, but it sounds like he's incredibly supportive of CJ Carr. Can you speak to that and what he brings to the quarterback room that maybe we don't see?
Yeah. You know, I remember having a conversation with Kenny in our weekly meeting, and you know, I challenged him. I said, the greatest gift you can give to yourself is giving something to somebody and expecting nothing in return. And what I meant by that is be the greatest teammate you can to those quarterbacks in the CJ Carr. Help him with things you see and expect nothing in return. And that's going to be the greatest gift you can give yourself. And that's what he does. That's what he does. And I wish I could say I'm surprised, but that's who Kenny Minchie is. He's a selfless individual. He's a competitor. He works and prepares like he's the starter. And there'll be a moment he's needed. I don't know when it's going to happen, but there'll be a moment that he's needed to go in and help this offense. And he'll be ready because he not only prepares himself, but he helps the people in that room prepare. And that helps Notre Dame. That helps Notre Dame. And that's a reflection of Kenny putting Notre Dame in front of himself. And, man, I'm grateful that he's in this program.
Second row on the left, Tyler James.
Marcus, in the past, you've highlighted guys as scout team players of the week. I'm curious, sort of a little bit more than halfway through the season, who has really stood out to you in terms of the impacts they're making on the scout teams?
As I think about scout team offense, Blake Hebert's done a really good job being a scout team quarterback. You know, Owen Streberg's taken every rep. Max Anderson's done a good job. Matt Jeffrey, he's been back and forth with the scout team, but when he's down here, he's different. He's just a high-effort guy. Leo Schuyler, Alex Whitman, Xavier Southall, all those guys, man. I can go on and on. I'm forgetting Henry Garrity. Tommy Paulus has helped us at some tight end. Justin Fisher just got back. Brendan Vernon was helping us on Scout Team O. Now let's go to Scout Team D. Big Sean's done a really good job. Sean Sevillano. Joe Reefer's done a good job. Burgess is really, those three take every rep. Like, those guys are grinders, man. And Saka's done a good job at the linebacker. Him and Jerry, General. I forgot Jerry's last name. Jerry Rulo, the General. That's my guy. He does a good job. And then DBs. I'll go to DBs. You know, Isaiah Dunn's done a really good job. Jadon Blair, Ethan Long, Charles Dew, gives a good look. And then I'm just thinking Mick Brown. Like, those guys bust their tails. And that's one of my favorite part about being a head coach is being involved with the scout team and being in their meetings and being with them in practice. Like, because those are the guys that don't get much recognition. But in reality, like, if they really give the best look they can to the offense or defense, they're not only helping their team, but it's the best thing for themselves because it's helping them improve. And they got to remember that, right? It's what the team needs you to do, but it ultimately is going to help you. It's what's best for you. And there's a lot of guys, man. I named a lot of guys, and I'm probably missing one or two, and I apologize, but that's the reflection of a team. Like, we're going to be as good as our scout team is.
And with the offensive line on the scout team, you have some freshmen with some concussions. You got guys that are getting injured in the starting lineup. What's been the challenge of making sure you have enough guys to give you a good look on the offensive line?
Yeah, right now we got 2.5 true scout team O-linemen. When you talk about Max Anderson, Owen Streberg, and Brendan Vernon's been a scout team O-lineman for a couple weeks now. We need 10 guys to rep with the offense. And because what you can't do is rep 7 guys and the ones now are getting added reps, and that's going to take away from Saturday's performance. And so we've had to roll some guys, some defensive linemen in there because we're deeper at D-line. Armel Mookum's done a good job in his limited role on Scout Team O. Big Sean has helped Deshaun Sevillano at some Scout Team O. We throw guys in there, but that's what the team needs. And so you'll get some defensive reps, but we also need to give you some scout offensive reps. And they don't blink. Let's go. Whatever the team needs. And it's credit to Coach Wash in that room, but also those guys, man, caring about the team.
Up the middle, Mike Berardino.
Hey, Marcus. Talked about Anye, but you've got other guys who starting from the New England area, especially the Catholic Memorial, got Traore and Lambert, and your long snappers from up there. I wonder, just since
Preston.
this week's, this idea that maybe that's not a well-known talent base, but where is it as a recruiting base for you, and what's the quality of play up there these days in New England, I guess Connecticut, Rhode Island, all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Maddie and Ethan are up from that area, played at the area. Will Black. That area's been good to us, man. Like there's talent. There's talent in that New England area up there, that upper East Coast. And, we have a strong presence there. We got to continue to have a strong presence there. We got to continue to find ways to get the best players from that area that fit Notre Dame to come here and visit and see, is this the right place for them? And so, I know I looked up the roster a little bit. There's some teammates of Booby and Gerby and Preston, and it's going to be important to them. Yes, because we're going back to Boston, but more so because the team, right? That's what the team needs from them, and so it's an important area to us.
And then with all these openings, the coaching cycle ahead of the curve, it seems like you've got some guys. Chris Ash has been a head coach. Al Washington is interviewed for this BC job and came close. Are you in a position to pound the table for any of your guys to get a look as these interviews are happening in season? What's the challenge of getting them out in front and positioned to get this opportunity?
Yeah, I think that's coming from the assumption that everybody is dying to be a head coach, right? Like, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if everybody wakes up and say, I'm dying to be a head coach. If they are, I would stand on the table for every one of our coaches. We have some of the I'm humbled by the coaching staff that we have, right? And they all deserve an opportunity if they want to be a head coach to lead a program. And I believe they'll be successful because they do it for the right reasons. They don't do this for individual glory. They do it because they want to help young people. And if that's at the core of who you are and the core of your heart, you're going to have success because you're going to know that having success takes more than just you. And we got a whole bunch of coaches that understand that. And I hope they all do get the opportunity if that's what they aspire to do. And I'm going to be their biggest advocate. You hate losing great coaches because we're not in this position. I'm not in this position without working with great coaches and great players. But you want every individual coach, support staff member to do what's best for them and get opportunities that they desire to have. And so if me being an advocate for them can help them, I'll be the guy on the table standing and yelling and advocating for them.
Back row on the left, Sabrina Hoover.
Hey, Coach, with only a few games now left in the regular season, what has this year so far really taught you, and what are the, different areas that you've learned from last season to now this season as well?
Yeah. As I reflect on last season, there's parts of that season, there's lessons from that season that we have to use. I always said as the foundation, but things we remember as we're in the position we're in. But again, it's you don't want to use it as a crutch. You don't want to use because we did this last year, it's just going to happen this year. It's the work we got to put in. But again, every week matters, right? Every week matters. And this opportunity we have right in front of us is all we have to be concerned about. But as I think about where we are, the lessons that you learn from struggling, and that's not always just the outcome of the game, right? There's lessons from losing, but there's also lessons in the struggle that we have to continue to utilize to get better, right? The struggle is there for a reason, and if we can continue to struggle in practice, if we can continue to overcome struggles in games, we're going to be stronger and better because of it. And that's the ultimate goal is continue to find ways to elevate, right? If we continue to do that, that'll take care of the outcome of a game. It's not, let's just win the game. It's how do we continue to improve so that we get the desired outcome that we want.
And as you look at this wide receiver room, you know, how have transfer wide receivers like Malachi Fields and Will Pauling kind of elevated this group?
Oh, yeah. Man, it's you got to get the right fit, right? And when we're looking for the right fit, we want ultra-talented players that fit this locker room. And the number one thing we look for are guys that are willing to put team before self. And those two guys do that. They practice at a high level. They perform game days at a high level, but it's not about them. They'll do whatever it is for a team. Will Pauling will go and catch or be on the field for third down, and we got to go to punt. And I'm like, Will, you can go take a break. No, coach, I'm running down the field. You know, and that's team first guy. You look at Malachi, and you know, we can go on an offensive drive, and next you know he's on KOR. He's blocking. He's doing all those team first things, and so they've elevated that room, and they've elevated our team.
Front row on the right, Pete Sampson.
You've been asked a little bit about the run defense. I was just sort of like, technically, like, what's better? I mean, I think the yards per carry is down like a half a yard per carry, and like the explosive runs, the 20-yard runs are like way, way down. So like, what technically are you guys doing better there?
Well, I think that the biggest stat is what you just said, is you're not giving up those explosive runs, right? Because your gap sound, because you're in a position to make the play, and we're making the play. We're tackling better. We're being more stout at the point of attack by our D linemen, and we're really just executing what you're being asked to do at a higher level. And that, because we do that, those stats are going to be better. And so I don't want to say it's not tactical. We've done some things tactically to help us improve, but again, it's still about the execution of what we're doing tactically.
Obviously, a bit of a college football story yesterday. Brian Kelly let go at LSU. I was interested in your reaction, considering his impact on your career, but also just sort of what it says about the state of college football, that things can seem very stable and then fall apart in the matter of games, weeks, months.
Yeah. You know, I've said this previously, you never want to see anybody lose their job. That person, the coaches, the families, the people affected, the players, especially somebody you know, right? And at the end of the day, you're always rooting for, right? Coach Kelly gave me an opportunity to come here, and, you know, I'm always rooting for him. But it's also the profession we've chosen, you know? We've chosen this profession, and we know that can be a result of choosing this profession, but it's really, you know, you asked about the state, like the state of college football. It's, you know, it is what it is. Like it or not like it, it is what it is, and you can't worry about that. You got to worry about giving your all to this team and putting this program in a position to have success, right? And I think I've said this previously, but it's a reminder to be grateful for what you have. Because if you're not grateful for what you have, you'll find a way to lose. And I'm not talking about a coach. I'm talking about in life. Like, if you're not grateful for what you have, you're going to find a way to lose it, you know. And that's, again, every time I hear some of those things, reminder that, man, the gratitude I have for this opportunity at this place with the people I get to work with, the players I get to be involved with, man, I'm grateful.
That's all we have for today. Thanks, Coach.
All right.